She lost interest in you, didn't she? And you're still haunted by the question, how can she just stop feeling something that once felt so real? But here's the part no one tells you. A woman can lose interest in you, not because she stopped loving you, but because something in her brain told her you were no longer emotionally safe, exciting, or necessary. That realization hits hard, I know. Because as a psychologist, I've seen men destroy themselves trying to win her back, when in truth, they never understood what made her attracted in the first place. Attraction isn't logical. It's not built on looks, money, or status. Those are only amplifiers. The real trigger lies in how you make her feel about herself when she's around you. See, women don't fall for men they simply admire. They fall for men who can mirror their emotional world, the man who can touch the quiet parts of her that even she doesn't understand. And when you become predictable, overly available, or emotionally needy, you unknowingly suffocate that mystery that made her heart race. She stops seeing you as the adventure and starts seeing you as the certainty. And certainty to the female brain means no more dopamine, no more chase, no more spark. It's not cruelty, it's chemistry. When she first met you, her brain released powerful neurochemicals, dopamine, oxytocin, norepinephrine, the same ones triggered by anticipation, challenge, and novelty. But as soon as you began seeking her approval instead of commanding her respect, those chemicals flatlined. You went from being the man who stimulates her world to the man who orbits hers. And yet, here's the twist. The same psychology that caused her to lose interest in you can make her attracted again. Because the female brain doesn't remember attraction as a person, it remembers it as a feeling. If you can recreate the emotional environment where she once felt that pull, not by manipulation, but by self-reconstruction, her brain can relink those same pathways to you. But to do that, you must stop chasing connection and start radiating purpose. You must become a man who doesn't need her attention, but inspires it. When a woman senses that your validation no longer depends on her, something awakens deep inside her. A memory, a spark, an ache for what once was. She doesn't know why she's thinking about you again, why she's checking your profile late at night, why her heart skips when she sees your name. It's not you she misses. It's how she felt when she believed you were unshakable. She doesn't start missing you the day you walk away. She starts missing you the day she realizes you've stopped waiting for her. At first, she tells herself she's over it. She scrolls past your photos, pretends to feel indifferent, maybe even dates someone new. But deep down, a small part of her is watching, not for who you're with, but for who you've become. And when that part of her sees that you've changed, not by pretending, not by chasing, but by genuinely evolving, something inside her recalibrates. It's not jealousy, it's biological recognition. Her subconscious picks up on the micro cues, the calm tone in your messages, the centered look in your eyes, the way your attention no longer clings to her approval. You see, attraction isn't reignited through words, it's triggered through energetic shifts. When a man truly reclaims his emotional independence, his entire energy changes. He stops seeking, he starts choosing. And that, to a woman's nervous system, feels like strength. Real strength isn't loud. It's the silent kind that says, I've learned from the pain and I've rebuilt myself. Women are drawn to that kind of energy the way gravity pulls the tides. It's not about manipulation or playing games. It's about becoming the man whose presence makes her feel both safe and uncertain. A paradox her mind can't resist. Safe enough to trust, uncertain enough to desire. Because here's the paradox of attraction. The female psyche craves emotional security, but it also craves the thrill of unpredictability. And when you master both, when you can be stable yet spontaneous, grounded yet mysterious, you trigger both her oxytocin and her dopamine. That's the same neurological cocktail that made her fall for you once before. Think about that moment early in your connection, when everything you said carried weight, when every text made her smile. It wasn't the words themselves, it was the uncertainty, the curiosity, the wonder of who you were. The more she discovered, the more she wanted to know. Until one day, she knew too much. You became transparent, predictable, and her attraction quietly faded. But when you withdraw your emotional dependency, when you focus on rebuilding your goals, your discipline, your masculine calm. She can sense it, not consciously, but instinctively. Suddenly, her mind begins asking new questions. Did I misjudge him? Why does he seem happier now? Who is he becoming without me? And that curiosity, that subtle confusion, is the seed of reattraction. Because the moment a woman realizes she no longer fully understands you, she starts wanting to. This section dives deep into the psychological turning point, that invisible shift when a woman who once lost interest starts feeling drawn back in, often without realizing why. The tone remains haunting, emotionally sharp, and psychologically intimate, exactly what keeps male audiences watching through the end. There's a moment, quiet, unspoken, when something inside her changes. She doesn't plan it, she doesn't even understand it, but somewhere between her busy days and sleepless nights, you reappear in her thoughts, not as a memory, but as a possibility. It usually happens when she least expects it, scrolling through her feed, seeing a quote that reminds her of you, hearing your name in a conversation, and suddenly she feels something unfamiliar, a spark of curiosity mixed with regret. This is what I call the psychological turning point. It's when her mind begins to reframe you, not as the man she lost, but as the man she might have underestimated. And the reason this shift happens isn't random, it's neurological. When she perceives that you've grown, when she senses emotional distance, renewed confidence, or an improved lifestyle, her brain releases a chemical called dopamine rebound. It's the same reaction that occurs when a person loses access to a source of validation they took for granted. Her mind subconsciously begins to chase the very energy it once dismissed. She'll start justifying it in small ways. Maybe he's changed. He looks different. He seems lighter. But beneath those thoughts, what she's really feeling is uncertainty. And uncertainty is attraction's oldest language. Men often misunderstand this phase. They think it's the time to reach out, to test the waters, to remind her what she's missing. But the truth is, this is the phase where silence speaks louder than words, because attraction doesn't grow in proximity, it grows in perception. The less access she has to your energy, the more her imagination fills the gap. She starts to wonder what your life looks like without her in it, and her mind, searching for resolution, begins to romanticize the version of you she can't reach. This is why you must remain grounded. Don't post for attention. Post for expression. Don't show off. Show progress. You're not trying to convince her. You're reminding yourself that you've outgrown the version of you who once needed her to feel worthy. And ironically, that's when her attraction grows strongest. Not because you want her back, but because your energy tells her you don't need her back. That's the invisible signal that flips the emotional script. She begins to sense that you could love her again, but you won't chase her again. And to a woman's subconscious, that distinction is magnetic, because it tells her something every feminine instinct longs to feel, that your love is available but never dependent. That's the moment she re-enters your orbit, not because you pulled her in, but because you stopped revolving around her. If she's starting to come back into your orbit, this is the moment where most men fail. They feel that flicker of attention again, and they rush toward it like it's oxygen. But here's the truth. If you return to the man she left, she'll leave again, faster this time. Reattraction isn't a performance. It's a reflection of who you've become while she was gone. She's not drawn to your effort. She's drawn to your evolution. And the only way to sustain that is to live from a place of quiet power, where your sense of worth doesn't rise or fall with her responses. When she texts you again, when she flirts, when she tests the waters, remember this isn't about proving you've changed. It's about embodying change. She'll be watching your tone, your patience, your presence. She's not looking for perfection. She's scanning for stability. Because a woman's attraction reawakens not when you make her feel chaste, but when you make her feel that your world moves with or without her. Stay in your rhythm. Keep building. Keep laughing. Keep being occupied with life. The same energy that once made her feel safe in your confidence is what keeps her intrigued now. You can speak warmly, you can share moments, but always from a centered place. Every message, every conversation should say, without words, I am full, and you are welcome to join. but not to complete me. That's what real masculine energy feels like to a woman's nervous system. Calm, consistent, certain, not cold, not detached, just rooted. It tells her that loving you would never mean losing herself, because you don't lose yourself in love either. And that kind of presence triggers trust on a chemical level. Her brain releases oxytocin, the bonding hormone, not from grand gestures, but from emotional steadiness. Now, here's where it deepens. Once she feels that steadiness, her attraction shifts from the surface to the soul. She stops wanting your attention. She starts craving your energy. She feels safe enough to soften again. That's when she'll begin sharing more, reminiscing, leaning closer. Not because you convinced her, because your growth reminded her what connection can feel like when it's grounded. Hold that space gently. Don't rush to label it. Don't demand a promise. Just keep leading with calm clarity. If she belongs in your future, it will unfold naturally, not through force, but through resonance. And if she doesn't, you'll still stand as the man who learned to turn pain into purpose. Either way, you win. So as this part closes, ask yourself quietly, do you love her? Or do you love who you were when she loved you? Your answer decides whether you repeat the story or rewrite it. There's a point in every man's story where he has to stop asking, will she come back? And start asking, who am I now that she's gone? Because that question, not her return, decides your future. See, what truly draws a woman back isn't your words, your looks, or your effort. It's the energy of a man who has faced loss and turned it into strength. A man who no longer measures his value by who chooses him, but by what he chooses to become. When she looks at you now, she shouldn't see the same man she once knew. She should see someone she can't quite read anymore, not because you're hiding, but because you've outgrown the version of you she understood. That's what reignites attraction at the deepest level. Not manipulation, not strategy, transformation. And the beauty is, it's real. You can't fake peace. You can't pretend purpose. The moment you stop performing and start living, every room you walk into feels your presence. People respond differently. Women notice the stillness in your tone, the certainty in your eyes. Even she, the one who walked away, begins to wonder how she ever thought she knew you at all. This is where the story shifts, because you've now learned something most men never do. Attraction doesn't begin when she sees you. It begins when you see yourself clearly again. You've learned to hold your emotions without drowning in them. You've learned that silence can be louder than pleading. And you've learned that when you stop chasing love, love has a strange way of finding you again. But this time, on your terms. So, if she comes back, meet her as the man you are now, not the one she left. And if she doesn't, let that be her loss, not your identity. Because a man who's rooted in his mission, grounded in his purpose, and anchored in self-respect never truly loses attraction. He becomes the gravity others revolve around. And maybe that's what she's feeling right now. Not nostalgia, recognition. Recognition of the man she once saw potential in and now sees power in. You don't need to chase her attention anymore. You've become the kind of man who attracts naturally, through presence, not performance. Before you scroll away, pause for a moment. Ask yourself this one question, and be brutally honest. If she called you tonight, would you be ready to meet her as the man you've become, or would you slip back into the man you were? Let me know your answer in the comments below. I read every one of them. If this message hit something deep inside you, hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel for more honest psychological truths about men and relationships, and share this video with a friend who needs to hear it tonight. Because sometimes the right words don't bring her back. They bring you back to yourself.